Rob, I'm sitting here on a rainy day watching the FedEx truck drive by. So that's my status update.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. It's
cold and rainy, and it's the holiday season. So not only has the FedEx guy gone by, but there have been multiple viewings of the Amazon trucks. They use electric Rivian built trucks here for Amazon, which is, yeah, they're very fancy. They look, I mean, if you know the Rivian truck headlight look, which are like these vertical pill type shapes, they have those on the trucks, but otherwise you wouldn't know they were Rivians. But they hum, they make a very loud hum when they come down the street. I once I was driving around back from a doctor's office, and I was near an Amazon warehouse, and I saw a line of like 20 of these Rivian trucks coming out of the warehouse and onto the streets to deliver packages all at once. It was kind of a wild sight. It was a little bit like, I don't know, I felt like I was watching TIE fighters come out of the belly of a big ship on Star Wars or something. Just saying. I mean, that's
a fairly apt metaphor for Amazon.
It kind of is. These are the kind of random stories that come to mind as I'm sitting here on a rainy day and the FedEx guy goes by. So there you have it. So, Rob, we have lots to talk about today.
Oh yeah, we do. Let's start with snack fishing.
Oh,
you sent me this.
Yeah. So Wired has an article that we will put in the show notes, all about people being tricked by fake viral food products. And I just really it caught my eye. They did a good job with their headline and of course their photo. And the photo was clear ketchup from Heinz, green Nutella, like puke green Nutella. That does not look appetizing at all. And chocolate covered Pringles, which I'd buy those. Just saying. but it was all about how these products are out there and people get, I guess, they're fake and they get kind of taken in by them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I mean, I can say now, I don't know if it was this particular person, because it seems to be there's a sort of one person doing a lot of this, but my wife has shown me fake products like this. I don't know whether it was this guy or they were AI generated, but like, interesting. At this point, I mean, given what we do on this show, chocolate Pringles doesn't seem that far-fetched.
No, it really doesn't. It really doesn't. We've seen much odder things than that, haven't we?
Right. And Jess will show me things. Oh, this is, this food thing that she's seen. And I'm like, I'm looking at this post. It's usually Facebook or something like that. I'm like, I can't tell. I don't know if this is fake, a real product, April Fools. I've got no idea.
Right. All you have to go on is that it's on Facebook. So it probably is fake, but you can't be sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
I know what you mean. I get those things shown to me as well. Well, anyway, I appreciate the efforts that some people have gone to create fake food for the internet. But you know what? I'd say go the extra mile, make it happen. Clear ketchup, bring it on. If you can make that, I'd like to try it.
Yeah, I would buy that. Even just once. It looks unsettling, but I definitely want to try it.
By definition, I think clear ketchup is an unsettling product because you can only imagine how it must be actually flavored and what it might be made of in order for it to be clear. But hey, for science, we would try it.
Hey, you got to start with clear tomatoes, I think.
I think you do. It's like all the chocolate milk comes from brown cows, of course.
Wait, is that not true? No,
All right. So that is snack story number 1. And we have unfortunately not been fished, which I guess is a good thing, but we would like to try these products and have not been able to just because they're fake. But we also, I ran across this story I have a feed now on Blue Sky, which is all video game related links. And so I kind of run through that regularly for the NPC podcast. And I came across this post by IGN, which is about a Tamagotchi style electronic pet toy that's being sold by Kentucky Fried Chicken. And the thing about it is that it is shaped like a chicken leg, And what you do is instead of caring for a little monster, you care for a leg of chicken. Makes sense. After all, it's KFC. Unfortunately, this interesting little toy is only available in Spain. Why do the Spanish get all the good things?
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
they got this. They've got the cured meats. They've got, siestas as part of this,
they have wonderful beaches, warm weather, and KFC toys. I mean, look, the KFC toy needs to come to America. It needs to come to the UK. I say ship this thing worldwide. Wherever you can find a KFC, you should be able to get a drumstick Tamagotchi. That's what I say. It's called Edward Agochi, I think is what they call this little guy, like Edward, but in Spanish. And Gochi.
Yeah, I tried to look for one of these on eBay, and they do exist.
Yeah, they do. Shipping kind of kills you, though.
But yeah, the shipping. I mean, I don't know whether that's just a flat fee, but I'm pretty sure this is Brexit related for me specifically. But it's way too expensive for shipping for my liking.
Well, I think I read that this is about $4 equivalent in Spain, but I did find it on Etsy being shipped from Spain for like $30, which, for the fun of it, I'd spend $30. But then it was another $30 to ship it to North Carolina. And I thought, $60 for this little piece of plastic that cost somebody in Spain $4? I don't think so. So I decided to skip it.
Yeah, I think that's crossing the line, because let's be honest, you're not going to look after your chicken leg.
No, it'll just be a pile of spoiled meat before you know it.
Exactly. Yeah, nobody wants that.
No, there's nothing worse than spoiled meat. Well, still, KFC, you have our endorsement, the official Ruminate endorsement. This is a fine product that should be made worldwide so that everybody in the world can enjoy caring for a leg of chicken.
Absolutely. Yeah, the Ruminate seal of approval. We don't have like a little thumbs up. It's like me and you on a little thumbs up. We'll work it out.
There must be something we can do. This is it's officially endorsed. It's not, but while it's endorsed, KFC has not sponsored this podcast. We're independent of the chicken conglomerate, but we do, Rob, have, I think, our very first Ruminate sponsor this week. So it is it's my pleasure to let everyone know that this episode of Ruminate is brought to you by Pika, the blogging platform that makes you want to write. I'm Rob, I'm really excited about this one. Pika is a service that represents a lot of what we talk about on this show. I mean, the open web, owning your own site, doing your own thing online and not being beholden to social media and other platforms. And so, we talk about that stuff and we talk about having that presence online. But the problem is that like logistically, easier said than done sometimes, right? Unless you're using something like Pika, because that's where they come in. They make it really easy and simple to start your own blog. You can go from signing up to posting within just like 5 minutes or so. I mean, plus your website is going to look great from the very moment that you hit publish. And it's what I like about that is that you can really focus on writing the words instead of fiddling with settings and templates and all that stuff. But at the same time, Pika does let you customize the look of your site. So you can make it look the way you want to, but it's just done in such a way that it's much more easy than a lot of the services out there that I've seen. I mean, they've also gone a long way towards really being thoughtful about choosing fonts and layouts and things that no matter how you do that customization, they still look really good and they're very readable to your audience. And so that's a really terrific thing, along with the fact that by reducing friction, they just make the experience better, because when you blog, you want it to feel good. You want to reduce the friction so that you don't have an excuse not to write. They've also got this cool feature that I don't think I've seen really anywhere else, where you can enable a guest book feature that lets your readers leave you messages and even drawings, which is a really fun idea. I think it's a great way to kind of connect with the people who are reading your stuff and hear what they think about it. And best of all, this is not filled with algorithms and AIs. Pika is all about real people doing what they want to do. They're writing about their experience. So you can get started for free, but for $6 a month or $60 a year, you can add features like unlimited posts and pages, as well as the guestbook entries, unlimited guestbook entries, and a custom domain and the ability to hook up your own analytics. And listeners of this show can get 20% off by using the code Ruminate20. That's Ruminate and the number 20 when you check out at Pika. To learn more about Pika, go on over to pika.page/ruminate. Again, that URL is pika.page/ruminate to start telling your story. Our thanks to Pika for supporting Ruminate.
Yeah, thank you, Pika. Just to jump on the end of that, I think, Pika is certainly, people say to me, oh, are we going to go, you've got your setup, Rob, which is, endlessly complicated because my setup is complicated. Don't do what I do. Like, you want to use...
Yeah, you're a web developer, right? And most people aren't.
Right. You want to sign up, get started. This is a great way to do it. This is where I send most people if they're asking me what to do. So
awesome.
Yeah, links will be in the show notes, which is amazing. So thank you, Pika.
All right, Rob, on with the show. Let's start talking about granola. I want to tell you about granola because granola is an AI tool that I have been testing. And I mentioned this to you right before we started, and you immediately said to me, oh yeah, I think this guy at my work uses it. And I immediately had one of those moments where I wondered whether that was the guy I want to become. But to tell you a little bit about what this tool does, and it's one of those AI tools that I'm actually pretty okay with, because one of the things, and I know this from the days when I used to have more meetings. I don't have a ton of meetings these days, but when I do, one of the hard things is having a conversation with somebody, but also jotting down all the important stuff, whether it's like what you're talking about or the follow-up items or whatever it happens to be. And I find myself usually leaving some sort of Zoom meeting or whatever it is with very disjointed and incomplete notes. And what Granola does is it actually uses AI it takes the audio coming off your system on a Mac and it feeds it to OpenAI, to ChatGPT, as you do your discussion. And you can continue to take notes. It's also a note-taking app. And then when you're finished, what it does is it takes your disjointed notes, it combines them with a prompt-based summary of the transcript, and it generates meeting notes in a really organized fashion with, sections for all the major topics and then takeaways and tasks at the end. And, it's nothing sexy in the sense that, now you've got a summary of your meeting, and that's kind of nice. And having the takeaways, the tasks at the end is also pretty nice. And I found that it actually works really well. And I haven't found a lot of tools like this that are actually something that you would use, a lot of people would probably benefit from on a daily basis. I mean, there are, I guess, some privacy security issues with the fact that this is going to ChatGPT, so you're obviously uploading your audio for it to come back in a summarized fashion. I mean, I don't have any real national security secrets that are happening in most of my meetings, so I don't really mind that too much, but it is a factor for a lot of people. But it's actually a really nicely designed Mac native app, which I don't know. I mean, I think if I had more meetings, I would probably sign up for it. But right now I've just been kind of doing a free trial just to see what it can do. But to kind of finish my little overview, I did try something that was kind of cool, is that we were recording Mac Stories Unwind the other day, and you can create custom templates for your meetings. And, if you look at the templates that are built in, they're they're what you would expect. There's one for stand-ups and one for, pitching funding. It's all very startup-y centric stuff. I created
Sure.
I created one for podcasts. And usually when I record with somebody, there's usually a little upfront chit chat that's not really the show, but sometimes it's like important stuff that we have to follow up with on the show or whatever. So I create a section for that, and then the section for each of the topics on the episode, like, basically instructing it to create these and summarize the big points, and then do a list of tasks at the end. And it worked really well. And I'm not sure, like, for like something like a podcast, it's really that valuable, because I mean, I wouldn't like copy this and drop it into a document for show notes or anything. But if you're editing a show and you want to kind of remember where something happened, it can be good for that, because you can actually go into and query the transcript, just like in a chat GPT, conversational structure, and recall things that happened, which can be useful for when you're in the middle of an edit. So I don't know. I mean, I see limited use for it as like a podcast tool, but for meetings, it actually is pretty valuable, I think.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of thing that I'm happy for AI to solve.
Right.
Because, I mean, they have an example on their website here of meeting notes on the left, and then meeting notes that have been done through their system. And the ones on the left looks exactly like the meeting notes that I always take
right
in meetings. I mean, they're terrible. Like, because I think people don't realize how difficult taking notes is. Like, that is a skill in and of itself, to be able to take notes for a meeting or whatever. I mean, this is why people are employed to do this kind of thing.
Right. It's even harder when you're actually participating directly in the meeting. Like, if you were just there taking the notes, that's one thing. But if you're also like presenting, say, in the meeting too, that makes it even harder.
Yeah, exactly. And this, as much as, we can, everybody kind of knows our thoughts on AI or whatever, at the end of the day, like, this is where we're at, and there are tools available. If there are useful things available, we should be at least looking into them to see what's going on. And this one, again, like you, I don't have a lot of meetings. I could potentially see how it's useful for podcasting, that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, it certainly looks interesting.
Yeah, it has a free trial, which is like 25 meetings, which just gives you a sense of the awful deluge of meetings that most people must have. 25 will take, I could probably get through 6 months with 25.
I was going to say, we could do a whole year of Ruminate on 25. Like,
I mean, I don't mean to laugh. I know that a lot of people have like 10 meetings a week, and I feel bad for you, or maybe 20 or 30.
Oh yeah.
But the reality is I just don't. And while I do have an occasional meeting, I have a lot more podcasts that I'm recording. And so I have been fiddling around with it to see if it would be useful to me in one way or another. And this kind of goes to something that I talked to Federico about on App Stories a couple of weeks ago, which is the difference between generative and assistive AI. I do think there is a role for AI to play to assist people to get rid of the drudgery in their lives. And meeting notes is one of those drudgery tasks where, even worse than just having to take the notes, is like when you're super busy and you leave the meeting and you don't return to the topic for like a day or two, and you don't remember anything from the meeting. Just having I don't know, a sheet of notes that you can go back to and refresh your memory is pretty nice, especially when you don't have to have actually created it yourself, and can then be a little more present in the moment at the meeting itself. So I don't know. I just thought I'd mention it because I know that we have had a lot of negative things to say about AI over the course of 2024, and I think it was all deserved. But at the same time, I do think that at some point we'll get beyond the hype and we'll actually figure out what these tools are good for. And I think this is an example of something where there's some potential.
Yeah, there is definitely some. My only concern here is that all of these companies are building off the back of like one or two LLM.
Oh, I know.
Like it, we've seen enough things go horribly wrong when people are building on top of other people's APIs. And these guys have just raised 20 million in funding, which is obscene. Like, that is so much money.
Yeah.
For they've built this app which then uses ChatGPT or whatever it's using. And it's like, okay, but if ChatGPT decide to cut you off for whatever reason, or they triple your bill, but we can ride it out. That's fine.
Yeah, yeah. I think the economics of all these industries are going to be interesting to watch, because one of the things that I've noticed is that right now, if you want to use a lot of these tools, it gets expensive fast because, for instance, $20 a month for ChatGPT Plus is nothing to sneeze at. And then, Claude, is about the same per month. Uh-huh. And then you have services like this, which are built on the tools you're subscribing to, perhaps, but you can't put your own API token in there. You have to pay them the $10 a month for the tool. Uh-huh. And so what you get in this situation where even if you're willing, if you're interested in using multiple of these tools, you may be paying for them over and over and over again, which I think just is a little bit unsustainable, because none of it is very, very cheap. And as a result, I think it'll either consolidate very quickly around the LLMs themselves, so things like ChatGPT or Claude, leaving these other folks in the on the periphery. Or you're right, we may end up in a situation where all of a sudden OpenAI wants to do their own meeting notes type of tool. So they build that into ChatGPT and they make their API cost twice as much. So, there's just there's going to be a lot of upheaval, I think, for quite a while on all this stuff. But I don't know. For now, I think it's, and look, you could probably do the same thing that Granola is doing simply by subscribing to ChatGPT and creating your own little custom prompt that says, make me some meeting notes, upload an MP3 you took from a meeting and get back roughly the same thing. But I think what Granola does is it makes it easier, for one. And two, I assume that on the back end, they're doing some stuff that's at least kind of optimizing for the meeting context and making it better. For instance, the fact that they're integrating your handwritten notes, they're using that as a cue to show the AI what is most important to you, so what you should emphasize.
Yeah, definitely. Well, as I say, I'm not building a company on it, so
nor am I. Fine. Hey, and I'm using it for free, so I'm part of the problem, I guess.
And well, don't you run out of those 25 meetings?
No, I think I've used 4 or 5 so far. So it's easy to run through them, I guess, if you have a busy schedule of meetings. But I'll be holding on to them for a while, because I'm not convinced it's something I would subscribe to. But I don't know. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about this, the video, Sora, OpenAI?
Yeah, just a little bit. OpenAI is doing their 12 days of Shipmas, which is about the most startup-y thing I can ever imagine, which is they're shipping something every day for 12 days, which, fine, okay. They released Sora, which was teased first something like 10 months ago, which is the ability to use a text prompt to generate a video. And I don't know, I find it kind of fascinating, but also ultimately kind of terrifying too, because I saw MKBHD did a thing on it. He had a preview of it, used it for about a week. And they generated things like a news report where there were these talking head newscasters that looked very real, that based on a prompt made something that looked, very similar to if you were watching the BBC News or CNN or whatever it happened to be. And yeah, the text in the crawlers and everything was just like garbled junk. And there was some, some weirdness in the backgrounds and things like that. But you look at it and you think, I thought 2 things. I thought, one, this is a lot closer to being where it can fool people than I thought it would be. And 2, with a little bit of editing skills, you might be able to take that garbled text and just replace it and make it look even more real with very little effort in, Final Cut or DaVinci Resolve or something like that. And that, to me, it obviously opens the door to all sorts of misinformation, perhaps, being created, fake news type stuff, truly fake news. And and just all kinds of bad stuff. I mean, just you let your mind run wild about the kind of stuff people could do with it. Now, I guess right now it's only available to people who subscribe to ChatGPT. And unless you pay $200 a month, one of the other awesome products that was shipped this week was a subscription for $200 a month to ChatGPT, which, I mean, all right, maybe if you're a business, but certainly not me. You're going to get a watermark. You're going to get some kind of OpenAI watermark if you're only paying a mere $20 a month. So you gotta really pay to get. And that will slow down, I guess, some of that, but I don't think it'll slow it down, the misinformation much. So I don't know. It's a brave new world. I'm not super comfortable with it. I don't think it's very much like the photo stuff times 10. I think it's bad. Now, the other thing is a lot of the physics are really off. I saw this video that was created of a rhino running along in the desert, and it was doing like moon hops, like when man landed on the moon and there was less gravity and they're doing these giant leaps. The rhinoceros was doing that. And so on the one hand, yeah, you can tell. On the other hand, it didn't take very long for us to go to, everybody has 6 fingers, to the Pope is wearing a puffy coat, and it really looks like the Pope's wearing a puffy coat.
Let's not even talk about that, because I still thought that was a real photo for quite a long time.
Yeah, I mean, right, and that's it. So, people are saying, well, yeah, this is like ChatGPT 1, but ChatGPT 1 was only 2 years ago, so project us 2 years down the road from today to 2026, Christmas time, 2026, where will we be with these videos? And I don't know that the world's ready for that. I think video is a powerful thing. Photos are a powerful thing, but video is even more powerful, I think, in terms of, how it could be used for propaganda and influencing elections and people's ideas on issues. I think it's, Personally, I think all this stuff should be regulated. I've said that before, but at least in the United States, I don't see that happening anytime soon.
I mean, I'm looking at some of the examples they have here on the homepage for the Sora, the generation or whatever, and some of it is okay, fine. Like, this one looks like a video game, and this one is showing a tsunami over a bunch of animals in what looks like the Sahara. So, like, okay, obviously you can tell that's fake, but then there's a couple here where it's like a woman wearing sunglasses, and I'm like, I cannot tell that that's fake at all. Like, there's no weird movement to it. Right. There's even a Christmas one here, some people drinking some coffee. Like, I genuinely cannot tell that this it is not real. Like, this wasn't actually filmed. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. I don't know where we're actually going to end up with this. I think the real end goal here is that, not end goal, but the end result of this is going to be that every bit of B-roll that you see in a documentary, in a movie, in basically everything is just going to be AI generated. All the kind of transition scenes and stuff, people are just going to use this instead of actually sending somebody out, like a second crew to go do B-roll shots of whatever. We're just going to see a lot more generated crap, I guess, is probably the right word. Like, I think if it's low budget, you're just going to see nonsense instead of actual stuff that they've gone out and filmed.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point. I think that's probably the kind of place you'll see it evolve first, is something like that, definitely. All right, we should wrap up on a positive note today, I think, Rob.
Let's do that.
Let's talk about some really cool 3D printed stuff.
Oh, yes, please. Because I don't have a 3D printer, and I don't have an M4 Mac Mini, and I want both things because of what's available. So if you've paid attention at all to the sort of general Apple sphere that we're in, you've probably seen, the little miniature Mac Mini, the Mac Pros that are like 3D printed for the M4 Mini.
Right. Yeah, it's like a little case that you fit over top the Mini.
And the guy who's been doing these, Jared, he has done loads more now. So there's his most recent one is the Mac Mini Pro Max, which puts 3 MagSafe chargers on the top of this little case that he's made for the Mac Mini. So it looks like the camera enclosure of an iPhone 16 Pro or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's working on a bunch of stuff. There's like the Apple's Rainbow Stage you can print off and pop that on top. He's currently working on an Icon Garden one from Apple's old HQ.
Oh, nice.
That is not on here, but that is being worked on at the moment.
There's one here that looks like an NES, which I like a lot.
Yeah, that's nice. I've been looking at these and I'm like, if I get a Mac Mini, like I don't know which one to do.
Yeah.
I feel like I really like the Mini G5, I think is the nicest one. That's my favorite one.
Yeah, that's a really nice one.
But I mean, all of these are nice.
Yeah.
I mean, these are great.
I'm looking through all these. These are really, really well done. And there's one called Hello Danger, which is just like a yellow crate that goes around. It's like a bumper guard. And he's got some hats, which are icon hats, where you could like if you had an app, you could have your icon put onto one of these. He's showing off some various icons for things like the App Store and Finder and Final Cut and DaVinci Resolve and Terminal, all that stuff. Pretty cool. I like all these. I've always wanted to do a 3D printer, and I may at some day, but it's an expensive hobby and a time-consuming hobby, and I just haven't really felt like I wanted to go down that route yet. But I may do it at some point.
Yeah, I mean, if anything's going to make me do it, it's this.
Yeah. The thing that I always do is like, I look at it and I'm like, okay, what do you need to do this? And I look and I see there are some inexpensive 3D printers you can get, but then you're like, well, I want it to look really nice like the ones this guy made, right? And then you realize, well, you have to get a pretty high-end one to get those smooth lines and, be able to use all those color resins. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's good. We had kind of a build your own 3D printer back in the day when I lived in Illinois that I used with my kids, and it was very finicky, but it was also kind of hand built. So today you can get one that's much more like an appliance, which, that's probably more my speed these days, but I don't know. We'll see.
Definitely. Well, we'll put a link for these anyway, and and they'll be in the show notes, but you should definitely go check these out. And if you do print one, like, send me a picture because I kind of want to see it.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, Rob. Well, I think that's probably will do for today. What do you say?
Yeah, let's call it a day.
All right, let's do that. Thanks again to Pika for supporting Ruminate this week. We will be back in a couple of weeks. Talk to you later, Rob.
Yes, we will. Speak to you later.